Hey guys, Sajady here with Moss on Sundays. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, more and more people getting on the train of consciousness, so to speak. So again, welcome. If you're new here, it's a whole different, total different experience here. Some of you, again, a lot of you, as I analyze you, are very new. It's like, what is this guy about? Well, I'm really about bringing in, say, a whole different level of consciousness or level of truth into this reality. And we've heard that statement before because everybody wants to bring in that truth. But what are we talking about? What truth are we talking about? Well, that's the topic today on why most research is wrong. And we're not going to get into all the conspiracy theories and anything like that, but at a say consciousness level or at a frequency level on why research and even your life, the things that you do, the things that you aspire for is wrong. Like for example, if I make a lot of money and then I'll be happy, or if I fall in love and connect with this one person that's going to be my soulmate and then I'll be happy, right? And then it turns out to be wrong. Or if I follow my intuition and then I'll be good to go. Or if I did X and I'll connect to, I don't know, some Godhead, all that, I'll be good to go. And then you notice it's like, shit, my life is the way it is. Society is the way it is. Look at today's events, what's happening in the world, right? We followed research. We followed the thought leaders. We followed our politicians. We followed those individuals, those intelligent individuals that go, well, shit, they did that. And then they should be right, but where have they headed us? I mean, look at where they've headed us. It's literally a freaking circle. If you look over the millennia, where have we gone? Again, with these great thought leaders, with this great research, technology increased. It's like, well, Moss, you'll go, well, shit, we're a lot better off than we are, a decade ago. Yes, we are. Technologically, we're more comfortable. Poor people, even their standards, even the homeless have cell phones and all that. Well, absolutely. But look at as far as the human condition. Look at look at the human condition. It's poor. We're in the shit. We're in the slums. Maybe even worse. We're worse than third world countries. In fact, if you look at America today, many aspects of it. There's shootings happening in LA on the rail cars. On the trains, right? Metro trains and all that. The guy just said it right there. It's like, it looks like a third world country. So again, what is that? Why is that? Is it because we don't have the funds here in America, the 10 cities here in America or in London and all that? Again, the big great, no, it's got nothing to do with that. We've got all the funds, we can create all that. But you know what it is? It's the psyche, the underlying psyche. We're very poor. We're bankrupt on the inside. Our psyche is bankrupt, and that's why you see extensions of that. So whenever you see, say, a really, really wealthy city, you'll see the split opposite. Whenever you see, say, deep religion, you'll see like satanic worship. You'll see voodoo. You'll see all that. Look at the Southern Bible Belt. Again, there are those extremes. Why are they extremes like that? Well, because they're not harmonized, they're not balanced. Same thing here with research. What does that have to do with research? Actually has to do a lot because it's the same consciousness for research. Okay. So, we'll just jump right in. And again, the Moss on Sunday, what it is the first half we talk about, say, in this case, why most research is wrong. And then, topics that, affect your life. And then on the second half, just proving my abilities for you, just to show you that we all have these abilities, okay? Where I analyze you and tell you exactly, pinpoint exactly, tell you exactly what's going on with your life without knowing anything about you. Right? So stay tuned for that. All right. So in this session of Moss on Sundays, where do you go to make intelligent decisions when you can't trust the fact checkers and scientific research? That's what's really happening. Okay. And by the way, this isn't about this isn't about, my explanation isn't going to go to, the standard answers of, corruption, manipulation, getting bought out, because that's what that's what a lot of, say, research or science is nowadays, right? What happens is, a big pharmaceutical company, will buy or employ or hire a research facility. That research facility is dependent on, well, the funds of that pharmaceutical company. So if, say, this pharmaceutical company goes, hey, we want this drug to elicit X, Y, and Z outcomes, they're more prone, the research company, they're more prone to have X, Y, and Z as an outcome because, well, they're next, the hand that feeds them. Well, obviously they're not going to go say, hey, this research doesn't work, right? Because they'll just go to another research clinic. So I'm not going to be talking about that aspect of it. You can actually listen to that aspect or how research facilities, especially in the pharmaceuticals, with Dr. Robert Malone on the Joe Rogan show. I forgot what episode, Joe Rogan episode, but if you look up Joe Rogan, Dr. Malone, you'll see that. You'll see how corrupt that aspect of it is. Okay. I'm not going to talk about that because we all know that's happening. Again, science, not as pure as it used to be. In fact, back in the day when pharmaceutical, I don't know why I'm talking about pharmaceuticals, but what the hell, when pharmaceutical companies were actually owned by the physicists and the researchers and the scientists that actually developed the drugs, they were really, really pure. But over time, what happened is the marketers, the marketing side, the people who are money hungry, not for humanity, but money hungry, they started taking over, and that's where, say, the pharmaceuticals went downhill. So hence the research on that went downhill as well, and that's where that corruption came in. This is the same way with oil companies. This is the same way with environmental issues. This is the same way with everything. Okay, so again, let's not talk about that because we already know that's happening, and everybody's in on it. Everybody has a piece of the pie, and that's why things like what's happening today is happening. But I want to go a little deeper, much deeper on why this stuff is happening, even the manipulation and the corruption on why that's happening. Okay, so how do I explain this? My son's into racing. I'm into, speed and all that. So if you look at those type of industries, okay, those types of industries, or the Air Force, or, trying to build, say, better vehicles, right? Or better airplanes or better cars, right? So if you look at those types of industries, high performance industries, even industries that, for example, this is, it's a biking shirt, right? It's very, very light, by the way. A good friend of mine got it for me. But if you look at those industries, high performance type industries, they're always searching for the next answer on how to become more and more efficient. Okay. Somebody just said it. It's the first principle. Thank you. Well, we're pretty much done now. He just explained it. K-Rex just explained it. It's the first principle. So at the lower, and let me explain what the first principle is, because exponential intelligence, what I teach and what we're all about, literally is about first principle. So when we're archaic, okay, when say that we want to, say, create some kind of product or some kind of service, right, for high performance. At the base level, it's just a pyramid. At the base level, we have all these possibilities. We're not sure. We're not experts at it. So we're just we're just testing things out. Again, we're not an expert at it, right? We're very archaic. We're testing things out, and we're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. Okay. As we become more and more efficient, we start to see that there's a lot of things that don't work. Again, just like in the space of racing, we know a lot that we didn't know even like a decade go, or high performance or speed. And then we get really, really comfortable on that. We understand the logistics, we understand the mechanics. So with every layer, say, of understanding, we get to become more and more granular. As we could become more and more granular, we get into, say, more and more possibilities of those things that just don't work out. Okay. So overall, so the reason why most research is wrong, and I'm not saying it's completely wrong, it's just that in a very short time, the research becomes way off. And the reason why it becomes way off is because the logistics, the instrumentation, the scientific data, the fact checkers, everything about that, say, research probability outside of the corruption, outside of all the variables that they don't know about. That's another, I'm going to get into that topic as well. They didn't realize, they didn't know until they experience it. So as they experience it, what happens? You elevate yourself into another level or another level of consciousness. And as you do, well, what happened is that you become more and more precise on why things aren't the way they are. This is where, scientific research, like every decade, you'll see that, research has figured out that, what we figured out, a decade ago was all wrong. It's totally the opposite. And you'll see this time and time again. You'll see a lot of, say, logistics. You'll see a lot of predictions. You'll see all those based on facts at the moment turn out to be way off. Okay? So there's a reason for that. So I'm giving you an explanation on how it works from our point of view forward. Okay. But that's not the real explanation. I just want to clarify, because it's actually the other way. Okay. And I'll just explain that for you. So one, with every understanding, okay. For example, and again, I'm kind of all over the place this time, but that's okay. I'm pulling a lot of data for you, and then working on you all as well. Some of you might actually feel it. When you're learning something, when you're trying to, say, my kids, they're longboarding, they're learning how to longboard. At first, they're very clumsy, right? So research is very clumsy, but then you get better and better at it, right? You get more precise at it. And then over time, you get so precise that you can do amazing tricks. You can flip the board around, you can do a ton of stuff, right? You can almost defy gravity. Okay. So that's what we're at. So how do we say, do that? Okay. How can we do that? Or why can we do that? It's very simple. So this is like us becoming, an apprentice and then getting into, say, master level. Okay. But there's a trick to it, or the spin on this. It's not because it's two things. And this is what's really key. And that's why I picked this for researchers to understand, or scientists to understand. So this is where, yes, we're becoming better. We're becoming a master of what we are, or where we are, or what we're doing precisely. Okay. On the flip side, here's the key. On the flip side, what's happening is consciousness is elevating itself. That's what we don't pay attention to. Consciousness is elevating itself to a higher level of understanding. It's becoming more efficient on its own. So whether we like it or not, we are creating or rendering ourselves at a higher level of efficiency. No matter what, the train of time, the train of space-time is moving forward. It's starting to understand. It's starting to realize. It's starting to form. It's called evolution. If you look at nature, it's always evolving to its best possible self. If you look at the universe, it hasn't stayed, say, constant for the trillions of years that it's been around. It's evolving. It's creating itself more efficiently in space-time. In fact, the way I see it, it's actually rendering itself with less density, although it'll feel the same. Much like those big parkas that you had back in the 40s and 50s, they were thick and heavy, right? That's the way time was. It was thick and heavy. Now what's happening is that, you can have a coat that's just as warm, and you can crumple it up. You've seen those really light coats, right? You can crumple it up into your fist, and it'll keep you just as warm as those thick parkas, that weighed like 30, 40 pounds. So same thing with time and space. Time and space is allowing us, it's creating more efficiency. It's allowing more efficiency on how to create this reality here much easier, much faster, much more beneficial for us. So there's two ways. One, we are, say, understanding. We are starting to understand or become, say, the masters of our reality. And it's not about just, say, research. It's not about researching, say, a drug, or researching how something might work. It's understanding how we create ourselves as we do the research. And that's another aspect of it that most researchers or most scientists don't realize. Okay? They don't take account all the variables. One, they don't take into account all the variables that are unseen to the world that affect their research results. Okay. A lot of times, excuse me, a lot of times what happens is that scientists have a certain outcome, right? And they go, well, what are the variables that are going to affect this test results? And it could be, in physical form, as far as like speed, distance, objects, weight, and so on. And that's why, that kind of science or that kind of field is so accurate, right? Because there's less and less variables. But when you get into the human psyche or human condition, scientists haven't even scratched the surface on why a lot of, say, variables, or a lot of the drugs, or a lot of, say, the psychology, or a lot of whatever that we use to improve human life hasn't worked out, because there are so many variables that we don't even understand. And this is what XI is about: understanding the unknown, the unseen, that affect us dramatically. So, and again, if you guys have well, this is, you can't trust the research of the CDC when they say that suicide levels are down at this time. Yeah, that's kind of crazy, because in other reports, and that's the other thing as well. Again, that's all corruption, and I just want to stay away from that, because I don't want to spend my time, or, it's just disgusting that, we're all here, we're all playing the same game to improve ourselves. And then you have, the masses, the CDC, or, big institutions and so on, corrupting the system. That's just what it is, right? They skew the data. So again, outside of all that shit, okay? No, and that's the cool thing about it, guys. No matter how we corrupt the data, no matter how we destroy the data for our own benefit, whatever that benefit is, it doesn't matter. What I'm talking about will prove in the near future to be right, because the truth always shows through. And this time, by the way, the proof, or the truth, will show through faster than ever. And the reason why is what I just said earlier, because time and space is becoming more and more efficient. Things that were hidden, things that were, say, corrupt, or like hidden, or, held away from the public, that might have taken like 50 years or 100 years. Just give me 1 second here. There we go. Things that were, like, say, hidden, published data, for example. On the was it the FDA? They wanted 50 plus years to release the research on the coronavirus. Why 50 years? I mean, people are dying now, right? So again, outside of those things, no matter what we're doing, no matter what we're hiding, just like in your lives, have you noticed that you really can't hide the lies in your essence anymore? The shit has to come out, especially nowadays. right? Through January, as I predicted, a lot of the garbage is falling apart from you. Those people who are on the Total Human Reset, again, commented on, you just literally can't hold on to the lies. Okay, whether you want to, whether you didn't know about it, again, the truth is, say, pulling forward. So let's take a deep breath in. Unfortunately, as we start to, say, awaken, or as we start to become more efficient, whether we like it or not, what'll happen is that most of those control centers will try to create more control for us, and they'll skew the research even more. Those things that those things that you lay trust on. Okay, and this is part 3 of this, is how to learn through the BS so you can make more intelligent decisions. Okay, back in the day, and it's a progression. Back in the day, do you guys remember we used to trust doctors, right? Or even further back, we used to trust, say, politicians. And then they got corrupt. And now it's like, we poo-poo the politicians. And then, the doctors and lawyers, right? So with every succession, again, they got bought out, right? And that's why we push away, people in a lab coat, right? People who wear a red tie, people who wear a suit, people who dress sharp, people who are whatever, right? Those kind of, say, nuances in a person. Again, a lab coat, deny trust, right? Exemplify trust. It's like, oh, guy's wearing a lab coat, the guy's a doctor, I should trust them. So those nuances, or those hints, right? Body language, trust, right? Talking in a certain way, acting in a certain way, all those things are out the door, because those have been used in an untrustworthy way through media, and whatever else. So again, we remove all that as well. So you can't really trust, again, the media, research facilities, or scientific research, because they're at the lower levels of consciousness and, again, control. So let's take a deep breath in. So what do you trust then? Well, this is the key. You already know the answers within you. Okay. You already have, say, a concept, and researchers try to break that down for you. And again, I'm not talking all research, again, but overall the masses, they do try to break that down. So what you want to do is you want to start reconnecting to your own internal dialogue, or your own internal compass. That's really the key. Because you can't trust me. You can't trust doctors. You can't trust researchers. You can't trust the fact checkers. In fact, there was a fact check on fact checkers. They are owned by whatever company, that was trying to push their agenda on you. It's kind of crazy, right? So again, we're starting to move away from, say, the research, the data, and all that, unfortunately, because that should have been, say, our way, a physical way of going, yeah, we're on the right track. But since it's so fucked up, we can't do that anymore. They've fucked it up for us, unfortunately, which is really sad. Okay? Again, we're all on the same team, guys. Why are we screwing each other over? So what do? We push away from that. We start to go back into our intrinsic value and understand, say, the logic, or frequencies. And this is what's happening at a higher level. So whether it's, we could have done it better. So whether it's through corruption, or whether it's through ascension, the next phase of consciousness is not about the lab coat. It's not about anything like that. It literally is about you understanding frequencies. What frequency is that person? What frequency is that institution? What frequency is that belief that somebody is espousing on you at? That's what we're getting into. Again, it doesn't matter how corrupt we get or how ascended we get. The next layer of consciousness dictates that we rely not on physical data, because that's very limited, and it has, say, a lot of exceptions to the rule. As you go higher and higher, like somebody pointed out, as you go higher and higher, you're going to go to that first principle or the rule or the research that has no exception, and that's where you want to go. Okay. In order to do that, you cannot rely on physical research here, because there are, in the physical research, as I stated before, there are so many variables that cannot be accounted for. And that's what we're trying to find out, or that's what we're starting to realize. Okay. If you don't believe me, look at Newtonian physics. There was a lot of variables that they couldn't figure out. And then they go, oh shit, there's a whole different world, a whole universe called quantum physics that helps us understand Newtonian physics. Well, now we're getting into, say, another version of physics, because even the quantum physics, even the quantum realm, there's a lot of variables that we don't understand, and that doesn't make sense in the quantum realm. So as we ascend higher, again, we're getting forced or getting pushed to, say, redirect our focus in research and go deeper, not just physical research, again, to understand underlying frequencies. So in the near future, research will be understanding or research, hopefully, machines that can actually test, say, frequencies, because that's where it's at. So this next physics, quantum physics, and then I would call it XI physics, is the realm that we're getting into. And this is where the world starts to make sense. Okay? If you notice that the world doesn't make sense, we recreate things, we make a lot of mistakes, because there's a lot of, say, possibilities. There's a lot of exceptions to the rule at this level. But as reality, again, becomes more and more efficient, as we ascend higher, there's less and less exceptions to the rule, because we're just resonating higher. Just like I said earlier, that master level person, you're an apprentice here, you can make a lot of, say, mistakes and so on, but as you become higher and higher, right, at a master level, you make less mistakes, and you're more granular. To get more granular, we really have to come into the frequency level. And that's why you'll see in the near future research facilities going towards XI, exponential intelligence physics, to understand the underlying factors or reasons on why things happen the way they do, including, say, semiconductors, the next jump. And I just, as a side note, technological advances, and this is where it gets mixed up as well. Technological advances, like semiconductor research, how much memory you can put on a chip, space exploration, all those are logistical, and they're very, very accurate. Okay. And the reason why they're very, very accurate is because they delve in the physical world. Okay. You can actually, say, test, you can actually see, but there are a lot of other variables, even in this physical world, that dictate how physical objects move, that we're still finding out, again, frequency. On the other side, the softer side, say, of research or science, again, humans, the body, possibilities, creativity, and all that, again, softer, because it's not about the physicalness of this reality. That's only the 1% of who we are. It's about, say, the 99% of who we are. And again, going more and more into, say, a frequency-based research or frequency-based world, which is really exciting. So again, as blockchain for the new consciousness, yes, actually consciousness is the original blockchain. And I'll be talking more and more about that on the lecture series. So why do we do this? Let's go ahead, take a deep breath in, and we'll turn it into an experiential experience. And I'll help you cut through the BS, all that bullshit that's out there on who to trust, who not to trust, who to understand. And as you've seen, do you notice it's not, especially kids nowadays, do you notice that kids don't care? And it's been around all the time. Take a breath in again. Notice your spine. I'll give you a startlingly clear example of what we're getting into. It could be funny, might not be funny, but a very clear example. Breath in again, noticing your neck. As I help you understand or trust your inner self, because that's what we're expanding into, right? You're expanding into your inner self. So, and we've all had experiences like this. When you're a little kid, notice your chest. Help you pull out your truth detector. When you're a little kid, and you can close your eyes if you'd like, go back to when you're a little kid. And then your parents go, you know what? We're going to go to grandparents' house. And then I can just sense that a lot of you, it's like, you get really scared. It's like, oh shit, no, not grandma or grandpa. So what were you sensing? Again, this is a very simplified version, but very impactful. What were you sensing about grandma or grandpa? They probably weren't the purest frequencies, especially if they were alcoholic or, abusive and all that, right? That was hidden in the family. Because it is, right? Nobody will go, oh, you know what? Grandpa's like that. Don't go there, right? It's like, well, shit, grandpa's my dad. And you need to be kind, or you need to be respectful to, your grandpa. That's how most society treats, or most parents would treat that situation. But as you take a deep breath in, so what do? We get forced to give grandpa or grandma a hug. And I'm not saying all grandmothers or grandfathers are, fucked up or anything like that. But I'm just saying a lot of us, they were. Let's just face it. Okay. Your parents, same thing. And you don't have to be like severely bad. Again, there are frequencies that could be better, right? I'm not saying they're extreme. No, that you could be better, a better version of yourself. So, but when you're of a pure essence as a child, again, as you take a deep breath in, notice your lower spine. You start to compare your frequencies, like many of you are through XI, right? Especially through the 18-day hyper meditations. You start to pull away from those people that you thought were good. They're guys like they're really good people because in society they're helping out people. They're this, they're doing this, they're going to church, they're going to whatever, and then you're pulling away from. It's like, why am I pulling away from that? Why? Because their frequency isn't of the purest. It could be pure. And generation after generation, that's what we're really searching for. Younger generations are looking for a better version of themselves through their parents, through their grandparents. It doesn't work out. So as you take a deep breath in again. So then what do? We force that young kid, or it could have been you as well, right? We go give grandmother, grandfather a hug. And then their yuckiness hangs on to you. And then over time, your sense of, say, clarity and purity just die off. And then you become part of the standard society, right? So what you're searching for, and again, it goes This is exactly the way research is, guys. No matter what type of research that you're doing, you might think it's far off, well, that's grandpa, and we're talking about science. It's the same thing. It's the exact same. The underlying frequency of that research is yucky. We're trying to find the truth behind that research. So if it's the purity of grandparents or the purity of your objective is what we're looking for. Right? So if it's not congruent, more people are awakening to the fact that more people are going back to their younger days and relying on that mechanism that is always accurate. If we just listen to our kids and go, shit, you know what, son? Or you know what, kids? Yeah, your grandpa or grandma was like that. They weren't, say, they were kind people, but they could have been better, for example. That's all we're looking for. Again, and that allows us to step forward. But in research and then in that, parental experience, it's like, no, kids, you're wrong. And this is where we get fucked up. You're wrong. Grandpa and grandpa are fantastic people. They're top class citizens. Same thing with research. It's like, no, your intuition is wrong. You shouldn't trust your judgment. You shouldn't trust your own body. You shouldn't trust your own natural immune system. You trust us. What's the difference? It's such a dichotomy. It's such a break apart that people are breaking, going, fuck them. Because you're starting to break, again, the natural essence of who you are. Right? And when you do that, you can't. You'll start to reconnect because it's such a strong bond. And that's what society is doing. That's what the consciousness is doing. We're getting elevated. Research and the people, again, you all are awakening. So you're getting pulled along. Okay? There's people, again, that are pulling you back. Not going to happen this time. It's too powerful of a force. So especially in the world that we live in today. So hopefully that made sense. Did that make sense? Just give me 1 second. All right. So sick of icky frequencies coming near me. Absolutely. Uh, and this is where society standards, again, clean people, all those things, leaders, right? They say, yes, trust me, I'm a leader. Not anymore. Research, leadership, all that. It's not working out well. So in the near future, you'll see the younger generation. Right? And the reason why younger generations, they despise the older generation, the politics of the older generation, the religions of the older generation, because they're basically going, you know what? So that's the next step. The first step was, your grandparents. The next step is getting indoctrinated into the religions, the society, the workflow, and all that. Again, we're getting lied to. We're getting forced into the old plan, right? And the younger generations going, no, it didn't work for you all. So why are you pushing it on me? It's kind of crazy. But again, we're stopping that. So in the near future, it's going to be a whole different paradigm. Again, it's a little different than the topic, but actually it's the same. I'm just giving you a clear example so we understand it better. So, all right, let's just jump into, say, the scans, frequency scans. Before we do that, a lot of good things coming up for us. The XI lecture series coming up, the physics of relationships. It's a whole different programmatical let's see. Most, how do I say it right? Most relationships, it's about emotion. It's about doing this and that. It's about, I don't know, controlling your feelings. No, the physics of relationships, it literally is, you are a program. We're all programs. You adjust your program, you edit your program, you'll get a whole different result in your love life. You'll get a whole different result in your connection with self and all that. So, and that's why I've decided to do the physics of relationship. Never heard before, never experienced before on why shit happens the way they do in relationships. Okay, so that's coming up. It'll be a breakthrough. It's actually it's a precursor that I would suggest, especially if you are going to um, heal yourself, heal the world event coming up. It's a live event in Miami, Florida, coming up on February 8th through the 10th. So take a look at that. Again, if you're going to join that, I would highly recommend you getting into the physics of relationships so we understand it at a deeper level. This is where we actually get to heal the world. This is where, again, I've researched hundreds of thousands of people, and obviously there's trends, right? I'm starting to see the XI trends on why relationships are the way they are. And if we can heal those trends or edit those trends internally, we can actually heal ourselves and then also heal the world. So that's coming up. For the THR people, Total Human Reset, the physics of relationships, absolutely free for you. It's just part of the package that we've decided to add on. For those who aren't doing THR, you can still sign up. All right. As a note, personal deprogramming, playing small. How many out there have always played small? Right? You had, say, a sister, some of you, kind of like a twin. You were, say, a lot better, right? You didn't want to hurt their feelings, or worse yet, your parents go, you know what? I know you're a lot better than this, but you need to cut it down because, it'll make your, say, sibling feel bad. How many of you heard that? It's not a good way to go. It's not good parenting style either, by the way. We do that in society, right? We do that as a whole, right? I know you've got a great immune system. I know you're strong immune system, but you know what? You should just take the jab, and you should just wear this and that, because those people, they didn't take care of themselves. Now, you have to lower your own standards. That's the way society is. That's the way religion is. So we're not playing small anymore. You can't play small. Nature doesn't play small. It's the total opposite. Right? I'm not saying, fuck those who didn't, but I'm just saying, it really pulls us to a higher level of standard and pushes people to be their best possible self so they don't drag other people down. Right? This society, or this decade that we're getting into, is for those individuals who want to feel the exhilaration of life. Are you in on it or not? Right? This will help you. Playing small. Personal optimization coming up this coming Wednesday, not this coming Wednesday, excuse me, February 2nd. This is where we, it's on health. This is actually redesigning you, okay? Because as you age in today's society, the way the way you've been brought up, basically you look at your elders, your parents, your grandparents, society, and go, yeah, you're 6 years old. It's like, yeah, my parents are 30. I'm going to look like that. I'm going to be that level of health. And then your DNA goes, yeah, okay. And then it creates that level of health for you by the time you get 30. And you look at your grandparents, they're 60, they're 80, they're whatever. It's like, oh shit, if I'm 80, I'm going to look like that. You look around, just a lot of 80-year-olds look like that. You don't have to do that. We're pulling you away from that, and that's what the health optimization is coming up on the 2nd. And then elevation, it's a once a week meditation, so it's 4 times coming up in February. And what that's about, if you're new, I highly recommend taking it. It allows you to come into, say, the definitions of what XI is, because it's a whole different way of self-improvement. Not really self-improvement. It's literally changing the channel. We're not improving you here. We're literally creating another simulation of you, which is a lot faster, a lot easier. So it allows you to understand the frequencies that I generate for you to elevate. It allows you to understand the concepts of the power that you are, because even the essential 18-day hyper meditations are quite powerful, and you change so fast that people do get, say, a little distorted, disoriented, not because they're bad, not because it's bad. It's just because you change so fast. It's hard for you to stabilize. So the elevation will help you stabilize. And if you've been here before, doing the accelerated or even the essential hyper meditations, the elevation will create that momentum for those who are at the level where you just need enough push to go on your own. So, okay. So it's either a beginner course or a momentum builder for you. All right. All right. So let me, let's go ahead and get started on the analysis or the scans here. This is Sajady with Xponential Intelligence, Sunday, January 23rd. Wow, 2022. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't diagnose or heal. I can scan your frequency signature and tell you what I see. So please, if I do tell you anything physical, medical, consult your doctors for professional advice, right? If you ask to be scanned today, you are agreeing that we may use your session on excuse me, on any public media to inspire others. So remember, if you don't want us to share your session, then please don't ask to be scanned. Really simple. And then all contents are protected by copyright. You may not use our content in any way, shape, or form for any purpose without my written permission. Please type in only once, your request only once. Otherwise, I just won't pick you. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, the way I analyze people, I'm not a psychic in any way like that. I just literally can analyze your frequency signature, what you're always sending out to the world. Okay. So, by the way, we all have these abilities in the near future. This is how we tell the truth. This is how we do our own research, by the way. So, and I do teach people what I do. This one is Tammy Bredinger. Would love a scan, Moss. So Tammy, when I see you, you're always in a situation, you're always pushing away, especially say masculine frequency. Because if you don't, you lose yourself, say, in that man. So whether it's your father, whether it's a brother, whether it's your lover, your whatever, partner, business associate, if it's a masculine identity, you'll get pulled into their identity and you lose yourself. So you lose your womanhood, so to speak. So what you've done now, Tammy, is like you are pulling away from that space. Yeah. And you're creating a sense of separatism, which is really good. So at first you're pulling away, you're pushing, say, men. You might not like men at this stage, but it's really nice. And you create your own identity of who you are without a man frequency within you. Because as you age, well, you'll turn more and more masculine. How many of you do that, by the way? Right? You lose yourself. And it could be the other way as well. Men, losing themselves in a woman. So in this scenario, through XI, whatever you've done with us, probably the 18 days and so on, you've pulled away. Now you're defining yourself as a woman. You're seeing who you are. And then when you integrate back into, say, again, a man-woman type relationship, whatever it might be, you hone yourself even more, again, instead of losing yourself. So it's a great place to be, by the way. So. Yes, I'm back. By the way, I don't have code or anything like that. It's just, I went to Texas. They have, what's it called? Cedar fever. Came back ever since then. It's the craziest thing. By the way, when I scan you though, please comment in on how accurate I am. I know I'm accurate, but for you all to understand that, you can understand those people who are in it, in XI going, where the hell did Moss, tap into that space? How did he do that? So it allows you to go jump into that space. And then for those who are new, it's like, wow, how did he do that? Again, it creates that sense or that concept that there are frequencies out there that anybody can pick up, by the way. Okay? This one is Centaur Wellness. In Hi, Moss. I would appreciate a scan. Just just doing my first THR. Yeah. So you are really coming into an idea of yourself. Before, you had a whole different concept of understanding, say, what wellness is, what, say, spirituality is, what connection is. And now, since you've joined, listening to Moss on Sundays, or even the Moss Experience on the Best UTV, you can get it on Roku, or the XI podcast, Exponential Intelligence podcast. Whatever you've done, it seems like you've, listened to a lot of things from XI, which is really nice. You're starting to see, it's like, oh, wow, what I was helping people with was very limited compared to the potential. And now you're seeing the possibilities. A lot of people do this. In fact, I'm here in LA, work with a bunch of chiropractors, again, fantastic individuals helping the world. But there's a whole different level that you can help heal people. So whether you're a chiropractor, energy worker, surgeon, work with a lot of like surgeons or doctors, get into a higher level of healing, because it's not about your modality necessarily that's healing people. It's about your essence or your frequency. Again, that's the way of the world that's coming to be. So you guys could be on that first. And we do like business type coaching, consulting to help you, again, ascend to a higher level of helping your clients. So for you, you're starting to see a whole different awareness or a whole different possibility on how you can help other people. And the cool thing about it is that in the past, you used to forego yourself, or you used to sacrifice yourself to help other people. How many of you do that, by the way? Right? But now what you're doing is like, wait a second, I'm enhancing myself. And as I enhance myself, my clients are being enhanced. They're getting better results. That's unheard of, right? Most people, it's like, shit, Moss, I feel drained. I've worked on 4 clients and now I'm drained. But now you're going, God, you know what? The way XI is working, it's like I'm getting more and more expansive, and I'm helping people. And this is like, say, my 10th client, and I'm still energized. That's the way you want to do it, because you're not using your own essence. Those who are like psychologists or psychiatrists, right? The reason why you became that way, again, is because you wanted to help yourselves, most likely. And you get drained through your sessions. I work on, by the way, at times, maybe 50 to 80 people a day, single session, private sessions. And each session doesn't take that long. Again, but still, that's a hell of a lot of people to go through, right? Nobody does that. And nobody does that with such, say, transformational, say, effects on the clients. You can do that too. So really nice job, by the way. Yep, Center Wellness. Was that correct? Thank you, Moss. So nice job. This one, Jack, can I have a scan, please, me? Can I have a scan, please, Moss? Yes. So Jack, and again, I don't know your name. There's a billion Jacks out there. How do I connect to you? There's an IP address. There's a frequency signature that I tap into. So no matter if whatever you're, say, texting, whatever it is, it has a frequency signature that I can tap into. Okay. So again, very different, because, psychics, it's like, well, I need your name, I need your age, I need where you live, I need your full name, all that stuff. Well, you really don't. Okay? You're already tapped into that person if you know what you're tapping into. Excuse me. So for what's happening for you is that it seems that your life got stunted around 15, 17, 18. I want to say 16, 17, 18, around that time. Something happened to you that just like, boom, it stopped. Life just stopped. And you found yourself in a rut. And then ever since then, Jack, you're trying to get out of that rut. But as you climb up to the top, to climb out, it always seems like you slide back down in life. So again, it's something that just keeps going back and forth. So you're at a level, though, and again, you might be new or in a new awakening for you, but you're at a level where, and again, let's just, by the way, when I'm analyzing you guys or scanning you, I'm just helping you. So let's, for you, and then for all the Jacks that are out there, Okay, let's take a deep breath in. Let's help you get out of that, say, rut. Basically, a time loop, as I would call it. If you watched, say, the Doctor Strange movies or, the Matrix movies, it literally is that kind of programming, or even Spider-Man movies, right? There we go. So this will help you. Another way of putting it is, you're older, but you're running from, say, a trauma that affected you in your 16, 17 age range. You can't get out of that trauma. So what I did for you was, and people will try to do it psychologically, right? Emotionally and all that. But it's not about that. It's about time and space. You're stuck in a loop when you were 16, 17. Okay? You literally are stuck in that loop. Psychology is not going to help you. It's how you render yourself, Jack. So what I did was eliminate that, say, time loop for you, so you can literally grow into yourself. So Jack, you might actually feel younger, or you might feel like emotionally younger than your age. You can't connect. You can connect to younger people, but not people your age. This is the reason why. Okay. Or you're, say, more comfortable with younger people. This is the reason why. So, and again, Jack, comment in, please, if you can. This one is it JIVIO? Jelev, and I'm sorry if I butcher your name, guys. A scan, please. Yes. So um, you seem to be in two realities, and they're not so parallel, which is really kind of messes you up sometimes. It seems like in your family, there might be, say, patterns of, say, mental instability and so on. I wouldn't call it mental instability, but what happens is that, and I say you're not in parallel realities, because what happens is that you split yourself, and you find yourself in this reality and in this reality, and then what happens is that you get closer and closer. So it's kind of like, and then they cross, and then when they cross, you start to break down, and then this is where, again, whether it's you or somebody in your family, like nervous breakdowns, things of that nature, you start to destabilize yourself, because realities like merge. When they merge like that, it's not a good thing. Okay, reality should be like consistent. Um, yeah, kind of like the Rubik cube, right? Those would be like realities or simulations. They never cross. So anyway, what I'm doing is helping you not come into the crossroads. So for you, again, you'll feel a lot of tension, anxiety, and so on, and then something has to release. So what you do is, like, when you're crashing realities, something has to release. You get away, whatever, and then you go back down and start over again, and then it goes back up. So for you, anxiety, tension, things of that nature, or getting away from people. So helping you again create parallel realities, which is the next step better for you. I would suggest a longer session. I would suggest a longer session, but aligning realities. So in this mini session for you, and again, not just you, but what will happen for you is that instead of crashing, okay, what'll happen for you is that you'll see, it's like, oh shit, I just turned into this identity of myself. Oh wait, I just turned into this identity of myself. And you'll see the two identities because you're side by side. Again, you're parallel. And when you can do that, it's nice. And then you can observe why you like this reality. And then later on, again, in another deeper session, what you would do, or what I would do for you, is like, oh, I like these aspects of this reality. You pull it into the reality that you are. And then I like these aspects of this reality, and you pull that into yourself. And then you just create one reality for yourself. Okay. Again, it's got nothing to do with neurological issues that again, some of your family has. It's time and space. It literally is time and space. This is Leslie in THR, Total Human Reset. Again, we're going to do another Total Human Reset coming up. I don't know if this is going to be on, say, wealth. What is it? It's going to be on consciousness, which is highly important, guys. So take a look at that, Total Human Reset. The first one was on relationships in October. So really ramp up for that. By then, the world is going to need a whole different logistics on what consciousness is. So this one, Leslie Gibbons in THR would love a scan. Yes. So you are really starting to see, you're starting to see a whole sense of self. Before, Leslie, you're always reflecting other people, right? Because for you, you weren't really good enough for yourself. You're always like, well, by the way, playing small is going to be huge for you. Okay? I would definitely be on that call this coming Sunday, January 23rd. Tonight. Is that tonight, Pepe?
No.
Playing small?
Next week.
Is it January 23rd? Yeah. Either tonight or next week. Anyway, whenever it is. So for you, Leslie, again, I would do the playing small bit, but because you're always thinking of yourself not good enough. Although you're the one that comes up with the creative ideas, you're the one that gets shit done. You're the one, that gets things done or collaborates things. But then on the flip side, you're always the one that gets blamed. So you tend not to get into, again, a leadership role because of that reason. It's like, well, shit, I'm going to get blamed. But you get blamed anyway. So what's the difference? So again, it's about you not feeling good enough for some reason. Where is that? It's a grandfather or a father feel. Oh, I get it. So it's your father never having, it's your father always pleasing his father. And it was never good enough for him. So basically, you consoled your father, so to speak. And then, unfortunately, you absorbed your father's pattern. Okay. And again, comment in, please, on how accurate that is. Feel stuck and want to do more in life? Yes. So this one, Jennifer, please scan me. I want to talk about this. Who's it? Jennifer Terry. I feel stuck and want to do more in life. So especially if you start doing Total Human Reset, or the 18-day hyper meditations coming in March, or even the elevation or anything that you do with XI, what'll happen is as you awaken, okay, you'll feel more stuck than ever. Okay. And then you go, well, shit, that's not good. Well, it actually is, because what's happening is that, and this is where you'll see your friends and you might not like your friends or all that. And the reason is because you resonated at the same frequency as your friends and say the life that you had. But when you elevate yourself, you're at a higher level frequency, right? You've got more potential. So this is where you have more potential. You have a lot more possibilities for you, but then you feel even more stuck. So the reason why it's a good thing is because you're at level 0. And again, I'm just throwing numbers out for clarity. Now you've elevated yourself to a level 2, 3, 4 possibilities. Okay. So, but you're still, say, stuck. It's still latching onto you, kind of like bubble gum, that's stuck on your shoe. It's like you're still pulling you down. So you just need more momentum to break that. And then you release, and then you go to the next level. So if you're at level 3, you'd go to perhaps a level 4 or 5. And this is where you feel that exhilaration piece. Okay. So again, when people go through, again, a lot of you through Total Human Reset or 18-day hyper meditations, what'll happen is that you'll start pulling away from your old self, and it's really sticky for some of you. And then you got to keep that momentum going. Okay. And sometimes it needs willpower. Sometimes it needs confirmation of deletions. You pull it away, and then when it happens, it snaps. And then you just like take off like a rocket. Okay. So that's where you are. So congratulations. You're actually seeing what's making you stuck. The one key point for all of you who are in this space, don't look back and go and then have the same emotions like, like guilt, shame. It's like, oh shit, I need to go help. I need to slow myself down again, playing small, and go help that other person and all that. Don't look back. Understand that you're stuck. Look back and see what's holding your coattail, and then keep going forward. Okay. Or the next thing you can do is stop. Something's latching on to your coattail. You're stuck. Okay. Whatever it is, you stop. You let go of that tension. You undo your coattail. You walk forward. And that's it. You never go, why did my coattail got stuck? Why did this happen? I'm going to go back and do more research on it. Don't do that. It'll pull you back into your old self, and then it'll magnify. Again, confirming your deletions is the direction that you're going in space and time. So it got nothing to do with your psychology. So again, just keep going forward. Okay. Moss, can you help me with mental stability? Yes. Again, not a doctor or anything like that, but a lot of mental instability comes from not being able to process. I get blamed anyway. Not being able to process how you render yourself in space and time. So for you, mental instability, what'll happen for you? You have really nice abilities, and this is unfortunate. A lot of people, when you're younger, again, you have fantastic abilities, right? Your natural intuition, and again, that grandparents example, you get shut down, your intuition gets shut down, but you can't really shut it down because it's a tool. It's like, it's part of you. So what'll happen is that'll start to destroy you. So for you, again, really fantastic abilities when you were younger. Your parents didn't believe in it, or they didn't believe in you. You would see things, you would sense things in people, and they go, "Oh, that's not true," all that. And then what'll happen is like, "Oh, it's not true." And then, so basically, they messed up your algorithm on how to balance or harmonize yourself in time and space. So this is where you're mentally unstable. You're unsure of yourself because you don't know how to or where to create yourself. Again, most mental instability, and I'll do more lectures on this, and even prove it to you all. Take a deep breath in, guys, for that person and for other people. And then we'll call it a day. I'll keep you more, say, calm or stable. Breath in again. Again, it's got nothing to do brain chemicals. Those are after effects. Breath in again. This is where spatial referencing is important. This is where we did that heart meditation or the crosshairs, remember, in the 18 days? There we go. Breath in again. Again, for you and all of you who have mental instability or an anxiety, depression, there we go. If you can keep yourself in one, say, spot. So whoever that was it Stella? Yeah. you go into, I would say, minute realities. This is where you would have to be anal about things. This is where things have to be perfect for you. And if they're not, it really distorts you, right? Yeah. There's a reason for that. You've got great abilities of getting into, again, granular realities, or sub realities, as I would call it. But if you don't know how to control it, you will get locked into those sub realities for you. And then you will feel stuck, or you'll feel trapped. You'll feel imprisoned. Okay? And then you go mentally unstable. This is where the addiction series would really help those individuals who take alcohol or whatever, drugs, even plant medicines, ayahuasca and so on, as a release from those, say, I would call sub realities that you get stuck in. Doesn't really help. The reason why, and again, I'm not a doctor, but even, like prescription drugs for things like that, sub realities, this is why they have a caution of side effects, suicide, more depression. This is why, because those kind of drugs fuck with your GPS system on what reality that you exist in. Okay. And then what happens is that those kind of drugs, especially like if you're in that state and then you take ayahuasca and those expansive type drugs, even prescription, they magnify the sub reality that you're in. So you'll feel smaller as it expands that sub reality. Does that make sense to you? And then when you're off, or the drug wears off, it compresses. And then afterwards, you need more medication to feel expansive. Otherwise, because you're a smaller version within that sub reality. So it's kind of crazy. And it goes on and on and on and on. And this is where people at deeper levels will go into sub realities, and then sub realities. And this is where people end up in mental institutions. I'm not talking about you, Hon, but I'm just talking about how psychology works like that. And then you'll get more and more constrained. This is where, you go into mental institutions and those people are just curled up and they're just afraid of every little detail. That's why that happens. It's got nothing to do with the brain chemistry. That's afterwards. And I've helped a few people like that. I don't run into a lot of people who are in insane asylums and all that, but people who are kind of like about to be checked in, it's like, and they just like, boom, they clear up just like that. It's crazy. So again, we're going to be talking about those kind of things coming up this year as well. So is this the same for cannabis? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter the drug. It depends on, say, what or how you render your reality. So those kind of drugs, cannabis or anything else, I'm not for them. I'm not against them. I'm definitely against, say, pharmaceutical type drugs like that. Although they're benefit for you, like ivermectin, fucking the most fantastic thing. My son, COVID symptoms, took it, went to bed for 6 hours, woke up, totally fine. So again, those pharmaceuticals I'm totally for. But overall, I'm just saying, if you're trying to, say, release those psychosomatic type situations, you want to render yourself, or you want to create yourself, or you want to understand the realities that you create yourself in. Okay. And again, this is getting into a whole deeper subject that we'll be covering in 2022 on how XI really helps you with, with mental illness, physical issues, and so on like that. We're doing a whole research facility on that. So, all right. Really good stuff, guys. Thanks for being here. Next week, really good Moss on Sunday coming up. Again, I forgot the title, sorry, but it's going to be a good one. You know all that. All right, guys, as we end, notice what you notice, and then notice those details of what you're noticing. All right, peace.